So we basically divide or study the anatomy of the nervous system into different categories. That is, we have the central nervous system and we have the peripheral nervous system. Now, when we get into the details of the central nervous system, it is basically comprising of the brain, and then we have to study the spinal cord in detail. So as you can even see over here, this is the section that is basically called as the brain of an individual. And again, it is subdivided into sulci, into gyri of the cerebral cortex that you can even overview over here. What is the function? It's basically increasing the surface area to the brain. And then we have the different structures that are being attached to this cerebral cortex. And then we have the spinal cord. Now, this basic function of the spinal cord is to relay messages towards the brain, towards the higher centers of the brain. And then there is going to be a command that is going to be sent back to the effector organs. So there is an input and there is an output to our central nervous system, and this input and output is basically created by our spinal cord. There are a lot of tracts that are present out there. We can mainly divide them into ascending tracts that are carrying the sensations towards the higher centers of the brain, and then the messages are being conveyed along the descending tracts, which are also known as the motor tracts, and they are present again at the different columns of the spinal cord. So why is it so important to get to know the details of all of these structures? Again, you have to basically relate this anatomical knowledge clinically as well. Even if you're working as a neurophysician, you should be well versed with the organizations of the brain and the organizations of the spinal cord. How are they organized? What are the different relations that are present out there? We're going to study that in detail over here in the neuroanatomy. And that is basically going to compile a knowledge pack for us so that we can apply that clinically on our patients, and that sound knowledge is very necessary for the clinical implementation out there. Now, basically, you have to remember that the brain is located in the cranial cavity, the cranium. So if you look at the skull, the human skull, it's basically divided. Obviously, again, for the purpose of study, we divide it into a vault, which is the upper portion of the skull, and then we have the base of the skull. So this is the base of the skull usually. There are very important structures that you should be well versed with. What are the different foramina that are present over there? What are the different impressions that are present at the base of the skull? We'll be going through the details when we'll be studying the base of the skull from the interior aspect as well from the inferior aspect. There are different impressions that are present, and they're named accordingly, and there are different important structures that are passing through the different foramina that are present out there in our skull. And then obviously mechanical trauma takes place, and you should be well versed with the different structures that are present out there in the cranial cavity. All in all, the brain is located in the cranial cavity, and then we have the spinal cord, which is basically the protection to the spinal cord is provided by the vertebral column out here. So these vertebrae, they basically provide a protection to the spinal cord. And then obviously there are cervical vertebra, we have thoracic vertebra, we have the lumbar vertebra, and then finally we have the sacrum and the coccyx out here. So all of this is basically the bony architecture. And this bony architecture, the cranium and the vertebral column, it's the protective purposes that they're being performed for. And it's basically to provide a protection to the brain and to the spinal cord, as they are the soft organs and they have to be provided with a bony architecture as well. So even you should be well versed with how the spinal nerves, they come out of the different areas in the vertebral column. Then there are the ganglia that are being located, and we'll be going through the details out here as well. So here it is, the spinal cord is located in the vertebral column, and even that is named accordingly. The segments of the spinal cord are named accordingly from where the nerves they come out of the vertebral column. So the naming is even dependent upon that. The numbering is even dependent upon that. So we should be well versed with the location of the brain and the spinal cord, and then we should have a sound knowledge regarding how the cranial nerves they come out of the different foramina of the base of the skull, and then how the spinal nerves they are exiting the vertebral column, and that is how the functionality or the integration that remains towards the central nervous system.